the Varside Spurs podcast, coming to you all the way from the Varside Arms. Jostling for position tonight. We're quite loaded down with people. So first, say hello to who should we go to first? We'll go to Simon. Simon, how you doing, sir? Long time no see.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. How was your Christmas and New Year? All right, was it?
It was very quiet, thanks very much. It was just a nice, quiet affair, just just chilling out at home and not doing very much. But it's nice to have a little bit of a break.
Okay, all right then. We'll move swiftly on, Simon. we won't delve. We'll move swiftly on. I'm also joined by Rich. How you doing, Rich?
Evening, all. How are we?
Yeah, all right, mate. Not bad. How are you?
Same as always, really. Over the bloody moon about watching Spurs as usual.
So you're lying as well then. That's two people I've spoken to so far and two lies. I mean, the listeners ain't going to be not going to be really impressed with two bullshit billies on the pod. I'm not going to give you a chance to talk again. I'm going to move swiftly on. Move on to Lee. How you getting on, sir?
Yeah, good. Okay, as you can be.
So, Lee, you've got a whole platform ahead of you. The world is your oyster, and I think you're gagging to tell everyone your joke.
Which joke?
About the place in Essex. I mean, you just this might be the time
to follow on Twitter. They can do that on there. Doesn't bear repeating.
Well, that's what I thought after the first time. We've heard it twice since, so I thought I didn't want anyone else to miss out. But anyway, go to Twitter.
You give him Rich a complex now. Come on, he's only just had that headshot done.
And finally, we're joined by Jay. Jay, it has been months, mate. Absolute months. I think since you've last been on, we've actually changed theme tune. That's how long it's been.
Yeah, you only changed it yesterday, didn't you? I was on the 13th of December. So 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Well, that's a lifetime.
I was away, enjoying myself.
And now you're back.
I am, yeah. Not enjoying myself.
Instantly, you're going to raise the tone of the pod, hopefully. So here we go. So we got two matches to review. So we'll start off with the Chelsea game. So did anyone actually go? Did anyone go to the game? Lee, no.
No, I never went to the game. I just didn't fancy it, to be honest.
Yeah, don't blame you. To be fair, don't blame you. But did we all watch it on the night? We'll catch up with it on the night. Okay, good. So starting lineup, we obviously we were without Dyer. He was missing because he was self isolating, and we're at that point of the season where it's kind of like 3 or 4 months in or whatever it is, and I don't suppose if in August they said you said, oh, we're going to be without Dyer, like Dyer's missing, and most of the fan base would have a panic about the fact that Dyer wasn't going to be at the heart of our defence and that we'd have to rely on other people there. So Sanchez into centre of the three and Tanganga in the right of the three. But I think was really the only changes, and we went fairly strong really in terms of the rest of the selection. But yet still, and how do you think we started? Because I thought that we'd expect Chelsea to come at us, but I don't know, we didn't seem to be prepared for that. Lee, come to you first.
Well, if you remember in the WhatsApp thread, as soon as the team was announced, I put that sort of green puking emoji because the team I thought was wasn't well. I think he doesn't make too many mistakes, but I did think that was a mistake from Conte. I think we should have gone to a back four for that game, not a back three, because that lot in the back were absolutely awful. Tanganga looks a little bit low in confidence at the moment, doesn't he? But you just feel that they just didn't have the mentality for this game, that they looked really nervy and edgy at their in defence, and obviously that was borne out by the real sloppy own goals that we conceded in that game. But we prior to that, weren't we? We were talking, actually, we felt like we were in with a shout with this game, but it was one of those games again that there's a sort of repetition of a theme that with the way we started was not only slowly but nervously, and you kind of dreaded what we were in for. I think at the beginning I thought we're going to be in for a bit of a tonkin here. That's
I think that's everyone kind of knows that about Spurs. So if you can, if you can get at them early, start with high intensity and get at Spurs early, then that you're going to sort of wrestle the initiative away. And sure enough, I mean, Chelsea pressed high, and you'd think just it's a new defensive lineup. You just do the basics initially until you've kind of settled in. I think I said as you say, like Lee, we spoke on the WhatsApp and all that, but I think I said on there that Sanchez is not your ideal player to play centrally of those three. Jay, we'll go. Let's go.
Sorry, I'll just quickly say also it did kind of add into fuel the fire for my bias against Højbjerg at the moment. I thought he had an absolute stinker that game, and I know that he is a decent squad player, but he really looked awful that night, I thought.
Okay. He probably wasn't any worse than quite a lot of players, but I think quite a lot of players didn't look too good. But you're probably right. You're probably right on that. But Jay, we'll come to you. What were your thoughts? Did you get to actually watch the game? Because I know obviously there's probably been darts on and all sorts of stuff that could take your interest. And
the World Champs is over, so I watched the game, but it was just a typical gutless Spurs performance, wasn't it? We continually do that. We all hype the game up. All the fans are, G'd up before the game, well up for it. And as soon as the whistle goes for the start of the match, the players just disappear like they usually do. It was just an incredibly poor performance. And obviously, just looking at the lineup, you mentioned about the defence. Who the fuck would have thought a year ago we'll be saying, fuck, where's Dyer? We need him on the pitch. And, he has been decent this season, but, it's just an incredibly nervy back three that we had there. And then, when you looked at the midfield lineup and you had Skip and Højbjerg there in the middle of the park, there's no creativity there whatsoever. There was no outlets. And especially when, Royale got the ball in decent positions time and time again during that game and just couldn't deliver a decent cross to anyone. It was incredibly poor, and it seems like a lifetime ago now, doesn't it? It was on, you sort of quickly try and brush it away under the carpet, those sort of games, don't you? But interestingly, I just noticed that Chelsea were playing a 4-2-2-2 formation, which obviously with your roving fullbacks going up and back, you've always got four players up the pitch, haven't you? Which is an interesting formation, and obviously Conte couldn't find a way to.
It wasn't that the point. The point was that, and that was, I think that wasn't that. That was the point that the pundits mentioned at the end of the game, and that, given the formation that Chelsea went with, you'd think that with our wide players, the idea of our wide players would be to pin their fullbacks back. But we never actually, they were deep in the first half. They never really pushed on and got us high up the pitch. So, I think it was disappointing. Both like you, Jay, and Lee have said our poor, we didn't play really well, but I mean, there's a couple of things to think about, even though we didn't play very well, was the goals that were scored were own goals. The second goal was of our own making. The first goal was of our own making as well, but the second goal was of our own making. And, we didn't actually concede. I think we got better in the game. But given that we were so poor, would it be some kind of reassurance that, certainly going into the second leg, that the goals that we conceded were of our own making, and we managed to tighten that up by changing formation?
Well, I mean, yeah, I sort of said at the time, I think that the only consolation that you can take from that was that they were as profligate as they were impressive in their sort of pressing and the way that they just sort of bullied us off the ball for 90 minutes. I mean, looking to the second match, I can't see it being a repeat performance of that. I can't see them maintaining any sort of impetus of that kind of energy or application, seeing as they're already 2-0 up in the tie. It's going to look different with Dyer in the back as well. I mean, I think one of the problems that we made for ourselves with their dominance of the middle of the pitch was that because we didn't have Eric Dyer in the middle when we won the ball back on turnover, we didn't actually have anybody that could play the ball out on the ground. And so while they were dithering about looking for a progressive pass through into midfield, it just gave Chelsea that extra 10, 15 seconds to press up and close all the space up. And I think that is a really, really big factor in how the game will look different this coming week, on the understanding that we are going to have a different back line in the second match.
Yeah. So, and it makes you think, would Winks, because we've spoken about this already, I think, but Conte's kind of come out and praised Winks about how good he is and how much he's impressed, but yet still, I know we discussed this in last week's pod, but yet still he didn't start the game. And given that you've got players that can't play out from the back, maybe only Davis has probably got the ability to pass out from the back, but the central player that's the one that has the space and the one where the ball comes from the most didn't have that ability. We know that we didn't have that ability in Sanchez, and neither Højbjerg, as Lee rightly says. He's a squad player. I think with limited passing ability. I don't know what's the matter with him at the minute in terms of his confidence. I think that maybe he's just lacking in confidence, because I do think he has
I think the other thing
ability that he's showing.
The other thing you've got to say about Højbjerg is he's played the most minutes out of all of that side. I mean, he hasn't missed a league game in as long as I can remember, has he? He might just be fucking worn out,
But we've got players that we've got players that can replace him. Winks could come in and do that job.
I'm hoping that Winks starts ahead of him this week. I really am hoping. All indications are that, he's getting more minutes. He's being brought on. He's, obviously they're experimenting with him alongside Skip. And obviously yesterday they experimented with him alongside, the sulking one for a little while. So hopefully he'll get the nod. I think that should be the next step of the evolution, shouldn't it?
If I can be a bit hopeful, Steve, I think we mentioned on our WhatsApp thread as well, there were glimpses of times where we looked like we could get at them. And just that one goal would have made a great big difference. And so it does feel like a bit of a tall order at the moment. But and on another point, we're talking about Winks. Just to say that I think that the gap between our first team and our second string is quite big, and I think that was that's one of our problems that night in particular, and of course when we come on to the next game as well. But that night, we just don't have anyone that can just step in and shore things up at the back. We just we really lack quality. But if we do get them back, then Wednesday I think we've got there's a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, and I think we'd spoke about Rodon for quite a while, in previous pods, and I'd